Alright guys, so as the title says, I do indeed have some rather unfortunate news I need to share with you today. This screenshot is the current state of my created fighter save file. Now why is it empty, you might be wondering. Well, for some reason unknown to me, every time I fire up my PlayStation I keep getting a corrupt save file error. So when the loading screens are processing before we get to the home screen on UFC 4, I get an error that says something along the lines of unable to load created fighter save file, files have been corrupted files have been deleted, and you can start a new save file. At this point I wish I would have screenshotted it so I could show you guys exactly what it says and possibly get some help or get a solution to the problem, because I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's my PlayStation, I don't know if it's a network problem or what, and I've talked to a few other people asking if they've had similar problems, and I haven't heard of anyone else having the same problem yet, so I just really don't know what to do about it. I'm sure you guys can all sympathize with losing a save file. You know, you spend, either yourself or you and some friends, you spend hundreds or thousands of hours on building something in a game, or you know, doing a campaign, and all of a sudden one day you find out your save file is just gone. You're like, you know, you either want to quit or smash your system to pieces. Now, I'm not very tech literate, but I am under the impression that it is a problem with my PlayStation, because I actually had this happen to me back in UFC 3 about 4 or 5 days before UFC 4 launched. I had the same error on my UFC 3 fighter save file, but at the time I assumed it was a problem with GameFace because GameFace itself was so buggy. So I lost a couple of fighters, but I honestly didn't care at that point because I had pre-ordered UFC 4 and it was coming out in, like I said, 4 or 5 days. Before I continue on, I just want to let you guys know what you're seeing on screen right now is all pre-recorded. Like, I don't have these fighters anymore, but this was all pre-recorded footage that I set up so I could complete the teaser that I put out there a couple of days ago. But yeah, back to the corrupt save file problem. So once UFC 4 came out, I just started pumping out tons of fighters. I think, obviously you guys know, I don't have the exact number, but if I had to guess, I think I've probably posted 60 plus fighter formulas on the channel here. And I think probably for the first 50 some, everything went smoothly with no problems until about a month ago. I got the same corrupt save file error, and I just randomly lost about half my fighters. So I got the error, went into the game, went to my created fighters, and then half of them had just completely disappeared. So at this point I was like, fuck, this really sucks. But I was at the end of one of my created fighter cycles, so generally I'll fill up the slots and then I'll delete half of them before I start working on more. So at this point, like I said, this happened about a month ago. I re-signed up for PS Plus so I could start using cloud save, so I could back up all my save files to the cloud, and I have it set to automatically save. So my thinking there was, if I ever do get another corrupt save file, I can just go onto the cloud and grab one of my latest automatic uploads and it should be okay. I found out though that this is obviously not the case, as I went to load things up a couple of days ago and I got the error. Most of my fighters had disappeared, so I went to the cloud, downloaded my last save file, which was an automatic upload, and at some point I guess whatever was corrupted was uploaded to the cloud as well, so I was screwed. So obviously this is like the worst possible timing. I just put out that Pride tournament teaser, trying to get people interested in maybe watching the tournament play out, and it seemed like people were interested to see it, and I had some new motivation to produce some content because I was getting a little bit burnt out of just putting out fighter tutorial after fighter tutorial, and it was certainly not my intention to try to build some hype for this tournament and then all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's not happening. And it's really a shame because I was planning on coming out with a video today showing you guys the tournament brackets, the breakdown, how I was going to run it. And trust me, no one was more down about this than me. Like, I had been spending a lot of free time going back and watching all sorts of pride fights, whatever I could find with all the fighters that I have in this tournament, just as a means of research. And yeah, it was some good nostalgia and helped me figure out how I was going to play with the sliders to get the most realistic results possible. And also, I had a lot of generous people helping me out behind the scenes, like Aiden gave me a lot of tips and help on setting the AI. Obviously, I had those two created fighters, Sap and Fry, from Pemby over at Pemby's 4K Gaming World. The UFC veteran, he was helpful to me, just giving me tips on which fighters I should include, how I should set up the brackets, so on and so forth. But yeah, at this point it's looking like it's all down the drain, or it's at least on hiatus for now, because yeah, all my fighters are just gone, and I haven't recorded any of the fights yet. Like Overeem gone, Fedor gone, Randleman gone, Sakuraba gone, Sap, Fry, Krokop, Vachanchin, Gary Goodrich, all 9 of them gone. And specifically with Goodrich, Vachanchin, and Krokop, I never even recorded the formulas, so even if I wanted to copy them back out, I couldn't, because I don't think I don't think the quality's high enough. I didn't want to put them out, basically. And I absolutely would not be opposed to copying out all 9 fighters again. Like, I would totally do that if I had any trust that I wasn't going to get another corrupt save file. I don't think it's worth it at this point. Me spending, like a full day copying out 9 formulas, face sculpts, tattoos and all. That's the big thing. Like, I know how long it takes you guys to copy out these formulas. I do my best to use as little of tattoos as possible because it's a pain in the ass. Like, we need a better system for people to share fighters. It's not good. But yeah, at this point, I just don't think it's worth it putting in the time and then all of a sudden just losing them all again the next day, because at this point, after I've lost all my fighters, I lost the few calves that I had in progress that I hadn't even posted yet. Fortunately, I could kind of remember them just from my memory, so I kind of started on 2 of those again and saved them last night, and today nothing happened. But I don't know what's going to happen next time I turn my system on, which is also obviously a problem for me posting formulas here in the coming weeks and months, because I don't create a fighter in one session. Like, I create a fighter, I create the basis, and then I save him, and then I come back the next day with a fresh look, because when you look at one face for too long, you totally cannot get an objective view of it. So I'll create him, I'll come back, I'll take him into a fight the next day, I'll be like, what the hell was I thinking with this nose, and then I'll change it, and then I'll play with the stances, I'll play with different clothing, and it's not like, it's not like a half-hour process. So I don't know what's going to happen with create a fighter formulas, because I can't trust my system that it's going to save my in-progress fighters from one day to the next. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. Like, I had all sorts of other things planned. I'm not very good at the game, like actually playing the game. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I like to create people, and that's kind of my thing. But I had all sorts of video ideas planned where I was going to start going online with my created fighters and, interacting with you guys, seeing, if you have a cool created fighter, let me know. We can link up and put a fight on, and I'll make a video series showcasing other people's created fighters, or doing collabs with other creators and fighting my fighters against their fighters. But yeah, at this point it just, I don't know. So where I'm at right now is I've basically deleted all my UFC 4 data, deleted the game, reset my PlayStation. I just reinstalled the game, and I don't know, I guess hope for the best. If it is a problem with my PlayStation, I can't see myself replacing it at this point. I've been saving up for the PS5, but I mean, if I had to forecast, I don't imagine I'll be able to get my hands on one until at least the middle of the year. The weird thing is I've never had this problem persist with any other games that I've played other than these UFC games, so yeah, I'm just at a loss right now. But yeah, I just thought you guys probably deserved an update on what's going to be happening, and I guess if I get something figured out, the tournament will go forward, but at this point I can't see it happening, at least until I get something figured out. And I don't know about created fighters either. I mean, I'm going to do my best, and if things happen not to fuck up on me anymore, then I guess you'll see new formulas be posted, and if things don't work, then I don't know, I guess I won't be posting formulas until I get it figured out. But yeah, if you've stuck around listening to me whine for this long, I will give you a quick rundown of the setup that I had planned for the Pride tournament, just in the hopes that someday it will still happen, and maybe if you guys have some good ideas for me to make it more realistic, that would be cool as well. So here's the tentative first round bracket that I had set up, and the way I set this up was I didn't seed everyone per se, but I kind of, organized the fighters into groups, like the top, so I tried to put the top 4 guys on each corner, and then they would match up with the lowest seeded guys. So for example, you got the top left, you got Fedor, at the bottom of that bracket is Henderson, the top of the other bracket is Vanderlei, and then the bottom is Krokop, and so they face the lowest seeded guys. And then the next highest seeded group is, you got Big Nog, Shogun, Rampage, and Sakuraba. And obviously this was just tentative, but I mean, I tried to set up matchups that would play out. So, in the second round you would get fights that actually happened, or you would get humongous Pride rivals facing off against each other. And just some of the fights are just cool, like Fedor and Bob Sapp was going to be the first fight. Like, who wouldn't want to watch that? And then I kind of tried to organize the whole thing so that if favorites moved on, we might get some classic Pride matchups. Like if Fedor takes out Bob Sapp like he should, Nogueira takes out Overeem, then you get Fedor Nogueira, which is a classic Pride matchup. On the bottom of that bracket, you got Shogun and Henderson are the favorites. If they move on, there's another classic fight. Same thing with the top of the other bracket. There's Vanderlei and Rampage, another classic. And then the bottom part of that bracket, Sakuraba and Krokop could face off in the second round. And obviously there's room for upsets all over the place on this bracket as well. As we all know, anything can happen in MMA. Like seeing young Overeem fight a prime Fedor would be cool as hell, Randleman takes out Shogun, Randleman-Henderson matchup, that would be awesome. So I think it was kind of set up. There was a pretty nice mix of fights that actually happened in Pride and then fights that never happened. That would be cool to see what would happen. I don't know, it's just too bad because this whole thing was going to be really fun. We were going to use the Japanese MMA rules, or not the rules, but the rounds at least, obviously, because we can't get all the knees to a grounded opponent and whatnot. And if I forgot to mention before, it was going to be all simulated this tournament, so the AI was going to be set to legendary, so they would perform the best moves possible, basically. And then we were going to use the sliders in custom fight now mode to tweak all the fights so we could try to get realistic results. So we, in the first matchup, Fedor versus Bob Sapp, we can take Sapp's stamina down. The damage we can maybe up for both fighters. Transition speed, we can bump it up for Fedor. Fedor's submission speeds we can bump up. Basically, we would just play with all these to try to get realistic results. And then here is where we would set the AI tendencies. So this basically means, so when you create a fighter, you set an archetype which gives them a certain moveset and perks. And then when you simulate a fight and you change the AI tendencies, it basically means This is how the game is going to use the moveset that they have and how they're going to employ it. So see we've got Fedor. I had this set up beforehand, so we have the red corner set. This is going to be Fedor, and we have him set to Alexei Oleinik, and we have the blue corner for Bob Sapp set to Kimbo. And what this means basically, we'll take Bob Sapp for example, is he's a powerhouse boxer, so he has all the moveset of the powerhouse boxer archetype, and then when we give him Kimbo Slice's AI style, that means he's going to fight how Kimbo fought. He's going to come forward, he's going to throw hands, he's probably not going to grapple much, he's not going to throw head kicks, he's not going to, he's not going to jump arm bars. Which this AI tendency feature is actually a really cool feature. I think it would have helped run this tournament realistically. And then you can see the other sliders there. We got strike frequency, takedown frequency, clinch frequency, and we were going to play with all of those to try to replicate the real fighters. So Fedor was a very active fighter, so we probably would have bumped up his strike frequency. He throws a lot of volume. He's not scared to take the fight to the ground. He'll clinch. Plus, couple that with the Oleinik AI style, and he's gonna go for submissions. He's gonna go for all sorts of throws, etc. And that's how we were gonna set it up for each and every fight in this tournament. And here is the last screenshot of the list of the sliders that we have access to. So, I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive slider system that we could have messed with to make these guys fight how they actually fought. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching everything else I put out, and I guess you'll hear more when I figure out what I'm gonna do, so peace.